Welcome to this explainer on how the sustainability and ethical impacts of the real estate industry are formally measured and standardized. Now, I know that might sound like some pretty dry accounting at first, but think about it. The places where we live, work, and play, they literally shape our entire world. Understanding exactly how we hold these massive entities accountable is actually fascinating.
So, before we dive into all the data, we have to ask a foundational question. How do we even begin to quantify the massive environmental and ethical footprint of the spaces all around us? It's really easy to look at a soaring skyscraper or sprawling suburban development and just see the physical structure. But measuring the true operational impact, both environmentally and ethically, requires a highly structured, rigorously standardized approach.
To answer that, we're going to zoom in from the highest macro classification levels right down to the exact granular metrics used today. We'll cover the SICS infrastructure sector, take a look inside real estate services, unpack the SASB toolkit, measure sustainability services, discuss managing conflicts of interest, and finally, we'll wrap up with the true value of standardization.
Okay, Section 1, the SCISS infrastructure sector. Let's start right at the top by looking at exactly where this industry lives within the broader financial ecosystem.
Under the global watch of the IF-RS Foundation, there's a framework called the Sustainable Industry Classification System, or SICS. SICS groups industries based on their shared sustainability risks and opportunities. And in this system, real estate services is classified squarely within the massive umbrella of the infrastructure sector. This isn't just an accident. By placing real estate here, the system acknowledges that these entities don't just sell standalone products. They are absolutely foundational to the physical and economic infrastructure of our entire society. The buildings they manage drive massive energy consumption and capital flows, so their infrastructural impact is undeniable.
Back in August 2022, a major organizational shift happened. The International Sustainability Standards Board, which operates under the IF-RS Foundation, officially assumed responsibility for the SASB standards. This structural placement is absolutely crucial because these standards act as the official toolkit for investors. They help pinpoint the unique sustainability-related risks and opportunities that could reasonably be expected to affect a company's cash flows and its long-term prospects.
Moving on to Section 2, Inside Real Estate Services. Now that we know exactly how it's classified and who oversees it, let's define what specific activities actually fall under this banner.
We aren't just talking about landlords collecting your rent here. We're talking about the massive, complex gears that keep the entire global real estate engine turning. This includes property management, leasing, tenant relations, and daily maintenance. But it also spans the high-stakes brokers selling skyscrapers, complex property appraisals, and the advisory teams operating behind the scenes to make the whole shebang happen.
Section 3, the SASB toolkit. To effectively measure such a multifaceted industry, the toolkit has to split its focus.
The official SASB standards approach this complexity by splitting the core metrics sharply down the middle into two distinct categories. On one side, you have sustainability services, and on the other, you have transparent information and management of conflict of interest. Basically, you have the environmental impact on one hand and human ethics on the other. This dual approach ensures that both the physical buildings and the human transactions are rigorously tracked and accounted for.
Let's dive into Section 4, Measuring Sustainability Services. We'll start with that first category to see how it builds our understanding of the environmental side of things.
Because buildings are, frankly, massive drivers of global greenhouse gas emissions and water use, the standards follow the money. They strictly require entities to disclose exactly how much revenue is being generated from resource efficiency services, things like energy procurement or green corporate consulting. But it's not just about the dollars and cents. Entities must also disclose the sheer volume of floor area and the total number of buildings actually receiving these green upgrades.
But here is the catch, and it's a crucial point. How do we define what actually gets counted? You can't just claim a building is green simply because you walk its halls. To count a building's floor area on these metrics, the real estate owner must have what the GRESB guidelines define as operational control. This means having the actual documented power to introduce and implement operating policies, health and safety protocols, or environmental rules. Literally, if you don't have the lever to pull, you cannot claim the metric.
Building on that, pun intended, the standard also mandates measuring exactly how many buildings obtained official energy ratings during the reporting period. We are talking about rigorous, globally recognized schemes here, like Energy Star in the US and Canada, or EU energy performance certificates.
The rules are super strict. A casual, unofficial pre-assessment doesn't earn you any points. The rating must be fully effective and official during the actual reporting period to be included.
Section 5. Managing Conflicts of Interest. Let's shift gears from green buildings over to corporate ethics.
In the real estate sector, your business is built entirely on trust. If you house a wide range of different professionals under one roof, the risk for conflicts of interest absolutely skyrockets. Managing professional integrity is paramount for long-term growth, and a failure here, well, it doesn't just mean a slap on the wrist. It can result in massive regulatory fines, deeply decreased client trust, and a severe loss of overall market share.
There are two areas that carry exceptionally high ethical risks. First up, dual agency transactions. This is where a single firm represents both the buyer and the seller in the exact same deal. You can immediately see the potential conflict of interest there, right? Second, we have appraisal services. This is where an entity provides an official opinion of value for a property while potentially executing related financing or consulting transactions on that exact same property.
To keep all these risks in check, the standard demands radical transparency. Investors need to see the exact percentage of revenue coming from these high-risk dual agency and appraisal deals. On top of that, companies cannot hide their dirty laundry. They must report any monetary losses stemming from fraud or negligence lawsuits. They also have to comprehensively detail their internal policies for managing these conflicts. We're talking employee training, disciplinary procedures, and internal reporting mechanisms.
Now, to give all of these raw revenue and legal numbers some much-needed context, the standard relies on what are called activity metrics. These metrics quantify the overall scale of an entity's operations. They track things like the total number of property management clients, the number of leases transacted, and the total floor area managed. Because let's face it, $1 million legal fine means something very different to a boutique firm with 10 clients compared to a global giant with 10,000.
Finally, Section 6, the value of standardization. So why does organizing all of this specific data into the SSCIS infrastructure framework actually matter to an investor, or a property manager, or even us as the general public?
By demanding standardized disclosures on both environmental services and ethical conflicts, this framework empowers everyone involved. It allows investors to accurately gauge the true risks and opportunities that affect a company's cash flows. It completely normalizes the data, meaning we can finally do apples-to-apples comparisons across the entire real estate industry. Ultimately, it structurally promotes a global push toward greater environmental efficiency and unshakable ethical transparency.
As we look to the future of the buildings we live and work in, we're left with a critical question. With global economies demanding greener, highly transparent real estate practices, will these rigorous SASB classifications become the undisputed new bedrock of real estate trust? Or will the industry just treat them as another compliance hurdle? The data's there, the standards are set, but how the industry applies them will literally shape the skylines of tomorrow. Thanks for watching this explainer. Keep questioning the spaces around you, and we'll see you next time.